Hello, and welcome to a Queen's Roundtable Quarterly Symposium. My name is Kanya Ford, but you can simply call me Coach K. I am a certified clinical sexologist and master sexologist, graduate of the Dr. Rachel's Institute as of June 2018. I have a background in human resources. I've actually been immersed in that world for about 12 years. And so being in the human resources world, I've heard all kinds of stories, which prompts me to want to share with so many people the things that I've acquired over the years. I am a wife and a mother of 5 amazing children. And today I would love to talk to you about poor boundaries. So before I get started into the topic, I'm going to give you just a little bit of background about myself. And also I want to share with you the importance of you watching this entire video. So I'll start with the importance of you watching the entire video. It is important for you to watch this entire video because I want to be able to instill in you some of the things that I had to learn over the years. I want to share a lot of the knowledge that I've acquired, not just through the educational system, but through growing pains. Simple as that. I want to be able to help you to recognize if this is something that may be going on in your realm, in your world, and if this is something that I can definitely help and guide you in a different direction. So, a little back history on myself. Many years ago, I was 20 years old, and I found myself a single mother with 2 beautiful little girls, both under the age of 2. I was living in Section 8 housing. I was in a pretty bad relationship, which in turn landed me with a criminal background. And for that, the job pickings were super slim. So here I am, 20 years old, 2 baby girls under the age of 2, working a $7.25 an hour receptionist job. I knew that that was not where I needed to be. However, in that moment, I couldn't figure it out. And I realized that I was in that position because I had poor boundaries set. And at the time, what I knew is that that wasn't the life I wanted for my girls. That's not something that I wanted them to experience growing up. It is not the example that I wanted to set. And so I had to do better. I had to learn. So it's important for me to share this topic because it is so common that we don't even recognize. And we don't recognize it because we have poor boundaries in our everyday life, not just in our personal relationships. We have poor boundaries in our work relationships. We have poor boundaries in our friendships. We have poor boundaries in our own families. And I think that one is a real kicker. So I would encourage you to listen to this to the end because just for listening, I want to give you a free coaching session with myself. And if this is a topic that's hitting home for you, we can definitely work on that as your session or any other realm of life, love, and intimacy that you want to be coached in. So definitely, you want to hear this out to the end because I'd love to offer you that free gift just for listening. So how do poor boundaries affect us? Poor boundaries affect us in our health. Poor boundaries affects us in our relationships. Poor boundaries can cause us to have resentment. Poor boundaries can leave us feeling unfulfilled. And in many cases, poor boundaries can leave you with a background that you may not be able to run from, that can follow you for some time. So let's touch on each part of those. So how does poor boundaries affect our health? I'm going to give you this example, kind of a physical example, and I want you to kind of visualize this. So you're in the gym and you have 5 friends around you. Let's up that. You have 20 friends there. And all 20 of your friends say, hey, I need you to hold this 5-pound weight for me. And you say, okay. Why? Because you have poor boundaries and you accept it. You're just getting everybody's weight, everybody's 5-pound weights. Well, here you are. Your hands are full. You have 20 people with their hands are free to do whatever it is in life they want to do. But you're now carrying the weight, an additional 100 pounds of weight in your hands, and now you're no longer free to do the things that you would like to do because you're holding the weight of 20 other people. Okay, so you visualize that. So taking that physical visualization and thinking of it like this, it affects our health when we have poor boundaries in a way of stress. Stress is a number one common thing when it comes to ongoing health-related issues. Stress can give you high blood pressure. Stress can cause you to have a stroke and or heart attack. Stress can cause your muscles to become tense, which really hurts. Stress can affect your vision. Stress can affect how you eat. Your diet, your digestive system can cause ulcers. Stress can do so many things to break down your body. And it's simply because we didn't set good boundaries. So we want to make sure that we keep ourselves as healthy as possible with one simple word. And that's the word no. Ooh, we don't like to hear that. We'll touch on that a little bit later. So how does poor boundaries affect our relationships? Poor boundaries can affect our relationships because if we're consistently saying yes to everyone, that means we haven't said no to someone. And that means that we've obligated ourselves and probably over obligated ourselves to everyone. So I'm going to give you this scenario. You have 5 friends and all of those 5 friends have given you a date every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You have an obligation to each one of those friends. Well, you meet this new friend and they want to give you an obligation on Tuesday. Well, Tuesday belongs to someone else. You don't know how to say no because you're continually having those poor boundaries. So now you are telling Tuesday yes, because Tuesday is already set, and this new friend that comes in also yes. Well, now you have 2 potential strangers who may develop a conflict because you've decided to not set a good boundary and you've obligated yourself to have to perform something for 2 people on one of those days. That shouldn't be your problem. But now it is because you said yes. How it affects your personal relationships. Kind of the same, but different ways. So I'm going to give you a different spin on that. When you're in a relationship with your partner and you don't set good boundaries on the front end, it shows up later in that relationship and it usually shows up pretty ugly. So I'm going to give you this example on that. You know, your partner is about to finish their degree. And it was already agreed upon with you two that once that degree process was finished, you would then begin your new degree process. So graduation happened. We're all excited. Yay, we celebrated. Congratulations. Great. You graduated. And then your partner comes in and you say, hey, babe, I just got this amazing opportunity. I know I just graduated and I know you're supposed to start. However, if I go ahead and get into this doctorate program now, I'll be done before you know it. Is it okay if we push your degree process back and I get mine started? Poor boundaries will make you say, absolutely, yeah, go ahead. Well, that's not what you really wanted to do. And so that is not giving your partner your full honesty and it's not setting the boundaries that your partner deserves to have with you. And what does that do? Leads into my next point. That causes resentment. You're now sitting upset because you said yes to this thing simply because you didn't know how to set that boundary. And instead of you being excited for your partner going through their additional degree process, you're sitting back upset and you're thinking about all the things that you did not do because of you having those poor boundaries with your partner. And so what that does is now it puts a negative undertone inside of the relationship, and it touches and affects all areas of the relationship. What could be some happy moments that you all should be sharing now has an undertone of anger and resentment. And I'm going to tell you a story. So I met this young lady some time ago, and she let me know about some things that were going on in her life. So her husband they've been married for about 3 years. He has 3 children from a previous marriage. She has a child from a previous marriage, and they share 1 child together. So the husband, he had gotten a job, and the job has him working out of town Monday through Friday. So he's home on the weekends. So he's in another state during the week, comes home on the weekends. And so when I was talking to her, just listening to the different things that she was telling me, I asked her, I said, so are you okay with how this is going? I guess because you're in the military, it works out. And she said, well, no, even in the military, I wasn't in this type of situation, so I'm really not okay with it. So I said to her, well, have you communicated that with your husband? She said, yeah, we talk about it. I said, well, have you let him know exactly how you feel about it, that it's something that you're not okay with? She said, well, we talked about it, and he said, things would change. And so I said to her, well, here it is. This has been going on for about 2.5 years out of your 3-year marriage. Is it possible that you're giving mixed signals? You haven't set real boundaries. I said, what I am afraid of is that because you have failed to set proper boundaries, you're going to start resenting your husband because of mixed signals that you sent to him. And the mixed signals come in with you saying, I'm not okay with you being away during the week and only being home on weekends, while also saying, it's okay. I understand. It's a job. It's okay. And that's not fair to your partner. And so now you sit back and you have resentment because you weren't able to go and do the schooling that you wanted to do because you were home with the kids. You weren't able to thrive in the business that you wanted to start because you were home with the kids. You weren't able to truly experience the full benefits or emotions or feelings or anything around a full marriage because your husband's there only on the weekends. And so you're harboring resentment and a little bit of anger deep down inside. And it's only 3 years now, but it's going to start bubbling over. And I think that you should have a true, genuine conversation and set some boundaries. Well, since that time, things have changed a little bit in that relationship. And she did say, I didn't think about that. I really didn't think that I would resent him, but I think about some of the things that I feel, and you may be right. And that brings me to a point of sometimes we could be sitting right in it and we don't recognize it because that exception became our rule. And so we just kind of go with it. We have those poor boundaries because we're afraid of hurting someone's feelings. And that's not fair to the other party. It doesn't hurt to hear the word no. It doesn't hurt when someone doesn't get to do all of the things that they want to do. What that says to me, it is possible that you're taking how you would feel and you're putting it on the other person. And that's just not fair. We have to be completely open, honest, and transparent with ourselves so that we can be completely open and honest and transparent with our partners. But definitely when we don't set those boundaries, it shows up later in the form of resentment. Since me and her talk, like I said, they have had a different conversation and things are starting to change just a little bit, which it's changed her outlook on the relationship, which is always awesome. And so the fifth thing that I talk about, how it shows up, how poor boundaries show up, it shows up in a background that you're not awesomely proud about. So early on, I talked about, being in that relationship and, that bad relationship, single mother with 2 under the age of 2. And I ended up with a criminal background. Well, I ended up with 3 felonies on my background. And that was simply because I didn't set any boundaries for myself. At the age of 20, I didn't even understand how to set boundaries for myself. And so when that person would say, hey, will you do this for me? And I just say, okay, yeah. Or when they say, hey, ride with me and go do this thing. And I'm like, okay, sure. I knew it didn't feel right, but I didn't know how to say no without feeling guilty. So my hope for you in understanding and listening to this is it's okay to say no. It hurts us, I believe, sometimes more than it hurts the other person to say no. And even if it's helpful for you to say no and offer an alternative to that. So if someone's saying, hey, can you, and it's something as small as, can you go get the paper off the printer for me while you're at work? Because remember, poor boundaries are all the way through our lives. So definitely at work, that's another place where it can definitely show up. So if someone says, hey, can you go get this off the printer for me? And you're in the middle of a report that is due in the next 15 minutes. You've been trying to write this thing all day long. You're at the end, but you know it has to be submitted. And you say, okay, and you get up and you go get that paper. You go get the paper. For whatever reason, somebody stopped you at the printer. You talked to them for 3 minutes. On your way back, you gave that person the paper and they talked to you for an additional 5 minutes. Well, you just lost 8 minutes of the 15 minutes that you had to turn that report in. And so you sit down and where do we go back? We're back to stress. You see how that all comes full circle. Poor boundaries. So what it should have been, if you're sitting there and you're doing something and that person say, hey, can you go get this paper off the printer? You say, you know what? I would definitely get that. If you can give me 15 minutes, I will get it off the printer. Or you can ask Jane if she'll bring it over to you. Or, just go pick it up yourself. Simple as that. Easy peasy. And you shouldn't feel any kind of angst behind it or anxiety behind it. It should be okay because you had a deadline to meet and you're going to meet your deadline. So I want to give you this activity. I would love for you to try. So with this activity, I want you to go and get yourself 2 bowls. I want you to get a bowl and label one yes, and I want you to label another bowl as no. So for the next 2 weeks, so the next 14 days, I want you to consciously think about all of your interactions that you have with different people. And if you're asked to do a task and you say yes, even though you wanted to say no, when you come home for all of those times that you said yes and you should have said no, I want you to put a Cheerio in the yes bowl. If throughout the day you were asked to do some things and you were confident and you said no, I want you to come home and I want you to put a Cheerio in the no bowl. So every time that you say yes to someone throughout the day, it could be coworker, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, children, stranger on the street, whatever it is. If you have consciously said yes to something, I want you to come home and put a Cheerio in the yes bowl. If you were confident enough and you said no, put a Cheerio in the no bowl. After that period of 2 weeks, I want you to look at those two bowls. And I want you to see, are you giving more of yourself, the yes bowl, than you should be? Because if your yes bowl is fuller than your no bowl, then you're giving too much of yourself. Your no bowl represents when you take care of you. It represents you setting that proper boundary. This yes bowl is that representation of those poor boundaries. So think of it like this. I think of poor boundaries as a balloon. When you were a little, 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5 years old, and someone gave you a balloon to blow up, you blew up that balloon, blew it up, and pop! It popped. Oh gosh, that's so scary, right? Well, I'm pretty sure somebody told you don't blow it up too much, but as a kid, you just kept blowing it. Pop. So the next time they handed you a balloon, you blew it, and if you remembered how it felt when that popped, you stopped. But if you didn't, because poor boundaries, you kept blowing, poop, it popped again. So I want you to think of yourself as a balloon. If you continue to allow people to blow their expectations, their desires, their wants, blow those things into you over and over and over, eventually you're going to burst. And if you do, it's perfectly okay. We all have that point where we don't know where our boundaries lie, and so we allow ourselves to burst. Now, once you've regrouped and got yourself back together, we starting over with a fresh balloon of ourselves. If you then start allowing people to blow into you, they're blowing into you, their wants, their desires, you can do this, can you do this, take me here. If you don't stop them, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to burst again. So you being the balloon, you should have learned that lesson, and at some point you pinch the top where they can't blow anything else into you. You stop that and set that boundary. But if you continue to allow poor boundaries to be a part of your being, you're going to continue to burst every single time. And there's never been a pop or burst that has ever been settled. And that's what we call our breaking point, where we snap. And so when you end up snapping and bursting, people look at you like, well, what's wrong with her? Or what's wrong with them? Well, they don't realize that you've set those poor boundaries and allowed these things to happen to you over and over. Before I go into these takeaways, because I have some takeaways for you, I want you to know that just for upgrading your membership to a deluxe or premium, you will get, because I want to give you one of my silver package coaching sessions. That is a $350 value. And the reason why I want to do that is because you're making that step to enrich your life. And so I want to pour into you what you deserve. So if you upgrade your membership to a deluxe or premium, you will receive my silver package, which is a $350 value. But you don't just get that. What this symposium is also giving you, if you do that upgrade, you get a special invitation link to a private networking and question and answer session with me live. So you can ask me any questions that you like. I can provide you with feedback, and you can get those things that you've always wondered about cleared up. And especially if you have questions about this presentation. You don't just get access to me, you get access to a host of other amazing coaches as well. So remember, just for listening to this entire session, you're getting a free coaching session from me, because I think it's amazing that you're taking that step to enrich your life. So I want to give that to you. So you get that free session just for watching me today. but you upgrade and you're going to get that silver package. That's over a $350 value. That comes with 3 full coaching sessions with myself. It also comes with, from the symposium, that invitation link for you to have a private networking time, Q&A session with myself to answer any questions and for me to provide you feedback that you like. So, your takeaways from this conversation. The first thing is, the word no needs to be a part of your vocabulary. The word no is not negative. The word no is the biggest positive that you can have. Saying no is perfectly okay. Saying no and giving an alternative would even help to ease that blow that you feel like you get ready to deliver. Just like as children, we crave discipline. As adults, we also are okay and crave for people to shut us down every once in a while. So take advantage of that. The other takeaway that I have for you is that you are just as, if not more important, than the person that is requiring something of you. And I'm going to say that again. You are just as, if not more important, than the person that is requiring something of you. Do not allow other people's wants, desires, and poor boundaries to become your problem and your poor boundary. So I challenge you to do the homework, put those 2 bowls up for the next 2 weeks, evaluate those bowls at the end of that time period, sit back and ask yourself, am I giving more of me to other people than I am giving to myself? And I will tell you, I know that the hardest place to set those boundaries is within our family. And sometimes we have to have those open, honest, and transparent conversations with our family. So once you've done this 2-week experience, I would love if you've upgraded so that I can know how it turned out for you. I would love to hear the results of what your 2 weeks look like, because I want to see how much further we can go. This may be one step on a long journey of doing things a little bit different. So I want you to think about this. At the beginning, I gave you my story. I was a 20-year-old single mother, 2 children under the age of 2. Working a $7.25 an hour receptionist job, living in Section 8 housing. Fast forward, I am today a married mother of 5, in my own home, master's degree in hand, coaching certification in hand. And that is because I did not allow my past to define my future. I grew up and learned boundaries are a necessary thing. I have an older sister. It's just me and my sister. And she tells me and she tells other people all the time, she's so mean. You're mean. You're mean. I was like, I'm not mean. I just love myself enough to tell you no. And that's because I learned how to set proper boundaries. So I challenge you to do the exact same thing. Learn where your comfort zone is. It could be something very small. Start with small boundaries and work your way up. So remember your takeaways. No is not a negative word. No is not a bad word. I want you to use no more often without feeling the guilt. Start small, work your way up. Your second takeaway is to remember that you are as, if not more important than the people or persons that are desiring of you. Very last thing that I want to remind you of. You should never give more of yourself to someone else than you're giving to yourself. And remember your balloon. Don't keep letting people blow into you until you pop. And if you do by accident, allow yourself to pop, regroup, and then learn your boundaries. I genuinely appreciate you guys for listening to me. Again, my name is Kanya Ford. You can call me Coach K. I look forward to your upgrade of your membership so that we can talk again later. Enjoy the rest of your time. Bye.